This is the 19th anniversary, the 19th annual political party, and it's a precursor to our 20th anniversary, which is a precursor to our 40th anniversary. And from the very, very beginning, this organization was built to last, and the organization of Kikanza Ramsey and Chris Mathis and Jeff Ray and the early students at Wilmington and Patrick Ramsey and Kate Kincaid and everybody I was recruiting, I said, if you don't have 5 years, it's not really even worth thinking about. We're trying to build a movement of generals, and we need more generals. We need people that are going to wake up in the morning and say, I'm really in charge. And remember that the CIA wakes up in the morning in charge, and the FBI wakes up in charge, and the ICE wakes up in charge, and the military wakes up in charge. The question is, do we wake up in charge? And what we've been doing at the Strategy Center, and I think last year has been a great year, is watching the number of people rise in the leadership, which then pushes the entire leadership forward of the organization. And finally, that on our 19th anniversary, we are so appreciative of our friends and allies. We don't think we can do this by ourselves or remotely by ourselves. We're a movement-building organization. And at our political party is not just our friends, but our theory of the United Front. Our United Front against racism, a United Front against imperialism, United Front to end global warming. And people come to support us, but when we look out into the audience, it gives us a lot of hope, because we're going to need a whole lot of us, and we're all in this together.
The last year has been a moment of amazing growth inside the Strategy Center. You know, it started off right after the political party from last year, where we had 1,500 people at MTA fighting against the MTA fare increase and having a really interesting united front with the mayor and other forces.
We were able to turn out about 1,500 people, and at the end of the day, stop a very egregious fare increase that was going to double, triple, even quadruple some of the bus passes. We had an all-out 2.5-month campaign.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're with the Bus Riders Union, so we're here today to inform you about the MTA's proposal to raise bus fares.
More than 6 major press conferences that went way beyond the Bus Riders Union to clergy from Pico Union and South LA, and we're able to do a mass propaganda campaign where we had about 3,000 posters and lawn signs all over the city asking the mayor, Mr. Mayor, vote no on MTA's racist fare increase.
It's also been a year of really important victories. You know, we have finally secured through the Clean Air campaign a bus-only lane on Wilshire. That meant, you know, a united front with people in the city council, with the mayor, with the FTA.
A 3.5-year campaign of organizing more than 150 businesses, bringing in about 30 new allies, from labor to the environmental movement.
In October, we had, after a couple years of the community rights campaign doing the research and the kind of campaign building, we actually had our kickoff in October, which 160 people came. About 40 of them were high school youth. Really big crowd, and people are really excited for this. And I think that's one of the things that we're trying to push this next year. This whole broader campaign about 1,000 more buses, 1,000 less police. We've finally come, we're trying to actually organize other people to this and saying it's not just enough to be for the social safety net, the social welfare state. We actually have to be against the prison and police state. If we look at the mayor's budget that cuts everything except for police, if we look at the trying to attacks on Special Order 40 and protections of immigrant rights, if we look at ICE collaboration with LAPD and sheriffs, if we look at the Runner Initiative that we're trying to fight, that is trying to put 14-year-olds in adult prisons, have people have yearly background checks if they get public housing. I mean, if we don't stop the police state and the prison state that is just growing, there won't be anything left for anything. Schools, parks, jobs, anything.
I came to the Strategy Center in 2001 for the National School for Strategic Organizing. And who would know, like 7 years later, I'm coordinating the school. So, I mean, in terms of the last year, in terms of the school, we've graduated now close to 90 folks, 90 conscious organizers that are all over. I mean, a lot of them, majority of them here working with the Strategy Center and our campaigns. A lot of them that you see on staff or running some of our newest projects. We have also folks, graduates out in the world at Ella Baker Center, people organized to win employment rights up in the Bay, United Healthcare Workers West, you know, Just Cause Oakland. So they're building movements and taking the lessons that they learned out of the Strategy Center and helping to build on the ground work in their respective cities. Look at the leadership of Patrice Cullors and Mark Anthony Johnson. They're at Cleveland High School and building the Summer Youth Organizing Academy, modeled after the National School for Strategic Organizing, taking a look at the day-to-day work that they're doing inside the inner cities and saying, look, young kids, young Black and Latino kids primarily are just an onslaught from the prison state to zero tolerance in the schools to truancy being criminalized. Like, we need to give young folks an alternative and a place to train them as conscious organizers.
Cleveland High School, 50 students, what? Yeah, Cleveland High School is a phenomenon for sure. I was telling Esperanza the other day, it's like our blessing and our curse, you know, we ask for the masses, they come, and we're like, what do we do with them all? So I think it's forcing us to be really creative on how we organize, how we sustain people in this organization. And at Cleveland High School in September, and created a program called Taking Action, where students were actually able to get credit to be organizers, essentially. And we've enrolled 60 students. Students have organized almost the entire school. They've met with thousands of students. Our school's 4,000 students. So they've been into classrooms, they've talked about the Bus Riders Union, they've talked about the Community Rights Campaign. We have our own TV show at Cleveland High School, so they've been on TV at Cleveland. We have our own newspaper. Students have basically created their own, the People's Poetry and People's Theater, where they're going out and doing whole assemblies where they're performing and talking about the police state and talking about the pre-prisoning and how they can fight it back through the Community Rights Campaign.
Marches and the May Day March, which just passed, which was awesome, brought out about maybe 30 to 40 students each time, new students from other places and, you know, of course, other folks.
I was glued to the radio, even during my paternity leave, was when Eric Mann on Voices from the Frontlines interviewed Bunk and Bubbles from The Wire. I thought it was one of the best interviews I've ever heard there. And we've had
Voices from the Frontlines radio show on KPFK, my favorite shots from last year. I like the Asians in hip hop, so I did a special with Jeff Chang from Can't Stop, Won't Stop. And then we went and found some hip hop artists, our very own Skim here in Los Angeles. So talking about, you know, trying to be an artist, a queer artist in the Asian community.